Mark.
Hi Lee, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Very well, thank you. I'm Mark, the chief editor of United Rock Collections. We are a French media.
Oh, that's great. I'm
Uh,
excited. I was supposed to do a festival over there, uh,
Absolutely,
and
in October, absolutely.
I know I'm bummed out. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, but yeah,
We
it's
hope so.
like all my shows have been pushed into 2022 at this point. So more important that we all stay safe, right?
Absolutely. So it's not confirmed at all, this concert in France?
Um, I believe they're hoping it's going to go forward right now. But what I've found a little bit of a trend with all of my shows at this point is that everybody hangs on to the last minute, hoping COVID is going to get better. So I don't want to make any promises right now that I'm for sure going to be there because right now Canada is not doing so good. You
Oh,
know,
okay, okay.
um, where I'm in BC and Alberta, which is the province next door to me, has the highest COVID cases in all of North America right now. So it's, and I don't want to be negative here because
Absolutely.
more than anything, I want to get back on the road and I want to play for my fans. But, you know, really the truth is at any moment, if we open up too soon, any one of us could be India, right? And that's the sad reality of
Absolutely.
what's going on right now, right? So anyway, but it's good to be here. It's good to talk today.
Okay, so Ready On will be released in July, of course.
Yes.
Years go by and you're still here, recording album, doing concerts. Where does this energy come from?
Ah, boy, that's a good question because I know a lot of my colleagues are finding it difficult. But one of the things, like you got to remember, I had my greatest success certainly in North America in 89, 90,
Exactly.
and I started when I was a teenager. So a lot of my I would say, musical colleagues that are sort of um, lumped into the same sort of genre of music as me. Some of them are about a decade older than I am. I started young and I had my hits late. Does that make sense? Does
Yes.
that make sense? So I don't know. So and then I took a hiatus for about 12 years. I had children. I had my daughter, my husband and I had our daughter in 2004 and our son in 2006. So a lot of my creative energy, of course, at that time was going into mothering, being a
Absolutely.
mother. And I did a few concerts, but not too many. And then I started writing and recording again in 2015, 2016, Fire and Gasoline came out. So I don't know. I really don't know what the explanation is. I've always sort of had the energy of a hummingbird. It's my personality. Um, when I was a little kid, I was actually put on medication for hyperactivity,
Oh, okay.
like in the late 60s, early 70s. And yeah, I wasn't on it very long, but my parents had a hard time managing me when I was little. But I think that energy has served me very well in my later life here because I feel like I'm having a new creative phase in my career after my children got old enough for me to be able to focus and write albums and start recording again because they were more independent.
Absolutely.
Um, I don't know. I've made 5 albums in the last 5 years, and it's been totally fun. I'm just enjoying this new phase of my
Absolutely.
career and my life. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a great album, really great album, radio, really
Ah,
fantastic.
thank you.
So here we are with some new songs. Tell us more about the songwriting process of the new songs. Who bring the main ideas on the new songs of the new album?
Well, I want to start by saying I have a fantastic band. I have worked, I've worked for quite a few years to try to find the ultimate players. Um, it was John Cody, who's my husband, is the
Absolutely,
drummer.
absolutely.
We've been together for 20 years. My bass player, Dave Reimer, John brought him in 17 years ago. He's been with Solid in my band for 17 years. He's a great guy. Plus, he's a fantastic singer and a great songwriter. Um, Sean, I've been looking for a person to kind of replace John Albany. John Albany left my band in 1995 when he decided he no longer wanted to be on the road. He wanted to
Yes.
start a studio and be a producer. So I had a couple of different guitar players, but when Sean Kelly and I met in 2014, we met because he was writing a book called Metal on Ice
Mhm.
about the Canadian rock scene.
Yes.
He's an intelligent guy. He's a fantastic guitar player. he can play anything. At that time, I knew him from playing in Nelly Furtado's band. Him and I just connected. And so he's been in the band for 7 years. And basically, there is a very magical chemistry that we have. When we get in a room together, the ideas just flow. So, and because we're all songwriters, and my husband is a fantastic arranger and the reference guy, because he's got a library of like literally 250,000 pieces of vinyl. Don't even ask me about it. We had to build an addition onto our house. So there's magic that happens when we get in a room. So I said, like, let's get together in a room and lock ourselves down for a couple of days and just see what happens and bring all your best song ideas. And so we all brought ideas in. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, Sean brought in this idea, like, for Russian Doll. It was just a guitar riff, right?
Yes.
And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. I have an idea in my book. It's going to work for that. And then I pulled up this idea for Russian Doll, because I had this idea for this twisted song about a girl with a multiple personality, but it also reminded me of the U.S. government at the time. So it's sort of like a double-edged song. And I stepped up to the mic and I'm like, oh, baby, I'm your Russian doll. I'm like, I got an idea that's going to work for that. So it was a very, very collaborative process writing this album. You know, Dave brought in the bass riff for Mama Don't Remember. I had, Devil's Gold and 21 were, yes, I write a lot on piano.
Yes, absolutely.
So I brought in those ideas and I'm like, I got this great idea for a ballad that I want to write called 21. And basically, the skeleton of the song was there, but the guys in my band all add their flavor and their color to where it goes, the direction of the song. So again, a very collaborative process. That's why when I did the SOCAN, songwriting splits, I'm just like, we're just going to make it 25% even for everybody in the band. And you know what? Even though I might have written more of one song and, Sean might have contributed a little more to another, it creates an environment in your band where everyone feels like they're treated equally. And especially these days when nobody's making a whole lot of money from music, right? Physical product is not selling the way that it used to. And
unfortunately, yes.
There's no touring right now. I want everyone to feel that they've got an investment in my collaborative process and the band, right? So there you go.
We know that the lyrics explored on the album include mortality, materialism, empowerment, addiction, love, society. Do you regularly write lyrics and then use it from the song, or it's the music that brings the lyrics?
What I can tell you is there's no formula. There's no formula. I had an idea like last year. I'm like, I want to write a song that's nostalgic, that's about feeling like I had the concept for the song 21. It's nostalgic, but it also kind of talks about how time passes so quickly, and then you wake up one day and you go, holy crap, I have teenagers. Like, that's me. I'm like, what happened? I was dropping them off at kindergarten like last year, and the year after that, felt like I was dropping them both off at high school. Like, what happened, right? Like, time just goes, and I think we all feel like that. And so I had this idea for this song 21. Then I wrote the music. Okay. But a song like Come On, yes, which is I believe the second track on the album, Dave Reimer brought in this sort of riff he was playing, and he had this lyric. He was going, it all comes down to you. And I went, I don't know what that means for me. And then after we worked on the music, then the idea came in, what if I come on to you and you come on to me? And what about a song about a second chance at love, right? Because that's very relatable, whether you're 20 or whether you're 60. People in their 50s get divorced and they're really, intimidated about making a move or telling someone they care about them. And you can be any age. And to me, that was a very universal theme. So I took the song away and kind of made it meaningful for me. so that's, I hope that answers your question. There's not really a formula. However, I have a book. It's right behind
Ah,
the table there. I carry it everywhere.
ah,
Sometimes I'll just be making dinner. This is my thing. When I'm making dinner for my family, I always have my Spotify on and my phone in a pack and my headphones, and I'm like dancing. I'm making dinner, and then I'll go, oh, I have a song idea. Like a lot of these crazy ideas come to me when I'm cooking. And I'm like, so my book is always there. And then I go over to my book and I write down my lyric ideas, right?
nice.
It's, yeah, so creativity can just strike you anywhere.
Fantastic. So let's talk about some songs of the album. I selected three songs that I want to talk about.
Sure.
The first one is we love a lot Wasted.
Thank you.
Wasted, it's a very intense song. It's like a ballad, but then after it's very hard. So tell us more about that song.
Um, well, Sean Kelly brought in that. I had mentioned something about, wouldn't it be cool to write something that was almost like a tip of the hat to like old Zeppelin, like Over the Hills and Far Away.
Yes,
And because those were, were a product of the 70s and early 80s. Like those are our influences, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
And so Sean brought in that very sweet idea. And I was like, ooh, I really, really like it. And then we worked it up as a band. And then we were like, we got it. This has to make a heavy turn at the corner here. And then I had this idea, I'd rather be wasted. I just wanted to yell that. And yeah, it was more of a conceptual idea in the beginning. I was like, what about the idea of the verses are like almost like polarized completely. They're very, very sweet and very beautiful. But then when she gets to the chorus, she's angry and
Absolutely.
she's yelling, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, and so I, really drew just from some personal experience in my own life where, I don't think anybody's family is immune from somebody in their extended family being like the drunk uncle at the wedding that embarrasses everybody. Or it was interesting because I'll be honest, there is alcoholism in my extended family. And last summer, not last summer, 2 summers ago before COVID, I was visiting some cousins in Ontario. And it was funny, when all of our parents left the room, the cousins and I, we were talking, and my 3 female cousins, and somehow we got on this topic of like, oh, really? Your mom drank? Your dad drank? And then we were like, oh my gosh, this is like, we're middle-aged women talking about something we've been afraid to talk about our whole life. And so that was kind of the inspiration for the song, is that hopefully we all get older and wiser and are able to confront realities in our life, right? And deal with them in a healthy way. That's the only way you can get healthy, is by telling the truth, right?
Absolutely. Okay, thank you very much. We also love the song Soulbreaker. The way you sing on this song is fantastic. At the moment, the music stops and then your voice is very powerful on this. Tell us more about that song, Soulbreaker.
Um, well, the song, it's kind of written in a way. I like to write lyrics that can be interpreted by different people different ways. So you could make that song personal for you. It could be about a bad boyfriend or getting divorced or someone in your life who's betrayed you. But the actual inspiration for that song was the guys in the band and I. We were just, very, very disheartened watching our beautiful friends to the South, America, be in such a disruptive state for 4 years, right? And again, I don't want to pick a side, but it was very hard to watch different factions of belief systems fighting against each other, rioting, shooting. It was horrible to watch all the divisiveness happening south of the border to us. Because we have like a tiny bit of that in Canada, but not. And, there's so many things that I love about America, Elvis and Motown and all of those, liberty, like all of the cultural things that America is supposed to stand for around the world. It felt like it had become a joke. And again, I don't want to take a side because I know my fans, both, but it was hard to see them all fighting. And so that's what Soulbreaker is about. It was like about, this is breaking my soul,
Absolutely, yes. Just before you talk about 21, the piano ballad that you wrote, um, is that important for you to give this emotional moment on the album, because it's different song from the others, of course. Tell us more about that song and the emotional part you want to bring to your fans on this song.
Well, I've always had ballads on my albums.
Of
That's not a
course.
lie. Barely Holding On, which was on Call of the Wild. How Deep was on Body Rock. I've always pictured myself more of an artist. Like the two women that inspired me the most to become a girl rocker were Ann and Nancy Wilson from Heart.
Oh, okay,
And
yes.
they, I loved how they were powerful, especially their early albums before the 80s. They
Absolutely,
wrote their own
absolutely.
songs. It was a very band effort with, the Fisher Brothers. Um, Nancy played and sang amazing. And they had a lot of different colors to their music, which was they had beautiful, ocean washed ballads, as well as, a song like Barracuda. You
Yes,
know,
Barracuda, absolutely.
Barracuda was a pushback against the sexism of the late 70s and early 80s. And I got to tell you, a song like Metal Queen would never exist if there wasn't for a song like Barracuda. It's pretty much the same riff, you know, and so I've always pictured myself an artist like that. So there's always going to be sensitive moments on my album because I think I have more to say than just raw rock 24 hours a day. It's like at a certain point in time, it's when you start, like, I don't think my fans want to hear that me on 11 for an entire album, I
Yes,
think they,
exactly.
yeah, I mean, and it's nice during our live show to give a sonic break to people's ears, right? And I have more to say than just rocking on 11. So the song 21, the song Radio On as well was a little bit about mortality. And like we lost so many rock stars in the last 5 years. It
Absolutely.
was it was heartbreaking. Like Prince and David Bowie, like these are people that seem so youthful and vibrant. You didn't expect them to leave us. Tom Petty, so 21 is just very much about that nostalgia, about feeling like, where does the time go? Where does the time go and where are our friends going? And we 2 weeks ago lost one of the other guitar player from the Body Rock era videos to COVID, which was devastating. But as we are becoming more mature, this is happening more and more, right? And so, yeah, that song embraces the theme of mortality. It also embraces, being a survivor. The song is all about being, we're all prodigal sisters and prodigal sons, but we have come out the other end older and wiser, right? It's about, even though, I don't know about you, but I'm older, but like I can access that part of my brain like it was yesterday. Like I still feel in my heart and my spirit like I'm in my early 20s. I relate to my children, I think, sometimes better than I relate to people in my own generation because, rock and roll keeps you young. What can I say?
We have the same age.
Yeah.
Um, we know that you're very active on the social networks with the 10 minutes weekly video on Instagram, some lockdown songs on YouTube. Do you consider that it's important today to be on the social networks?
I have to tell you, I have a love-hate relationship a little bit with it. Sometimes it feels like another job that you have to keep up because it takes a lot of time and energy. And, my number one job is still being, a mom and being a family person. But I do feel that especially during this time when I'm not able to go out and play live, and when all I can do right now is kind of give my fans music and a little bit of myself, that I do feel some responsibility. And that's why I started the Ask Lees. My husband actually was the one who came up with the idea. He showed me another artist that's not rock at all, a guy named Steve Forbert. He really likes him. And he said, he's doing this Ask Steve thing. And he said, you could do that. I think your fans would really like that. You should. And I thought, okay, well, but so rather than go live, a way to control it a little bit better. Because to be honest with you, like he sent me some questions yesterday that were just completely so crazy and off the wall and judgmental. I'm like, I can't answer those. So to have a little bit of a filter and control it, I have people send questions to my website, and 95% of them I'm answering. I'm trying to get to them. And but yeah, so it's been fun to do that, and I feel that it's a little way for me to have some communication and interaction with the people who enjoy my music, right? And they got a crazy question they want answered, I'll try and answer it.
Absolutely. So just before we talk about the French gig, the French show in October, how do you explain the fame you have in Europe?
Well, a couple of reasons. When I signed my deal it's kind of a long story. It's a little bit of record company politics behind it as well. We had done the Metal Queen album. I mean, we went to LA and we showcased at the Troubadour, and we had a bunch of big US labels that were interested in us. But my manager at the time, my smaller Canadian manager, had partnered with Eddie Leffler, who was Van Halen's manager.
Oh, yes.
And he said, do not talk to the labels. Do not sign to any label till I speak to them. But he had to go to England to do something for Van Halen. And it was winter time, and he slipped on the ice and he threw his back out. And he was literally stuck in the hospital for 2 months in the UK. Oh. And he didn't want my manager to talk to US labels that were interested. But we had done Metal Queen on spec, which meant we owed the studio like $35,000. And they were pressuring us for the money. My manager took a deal with a Canadian label, and I signed away my worldwide licensing rights when I was like 19 years old. I didn't even understand really what I was doing. But because of that, Attic Records owned my rights to sign me to other labels in other territories. And as a result, I never ended up with a proper US record deal. But I got lots of licensing deals outside of Canada in Europe. And that is why a large focus of my early career was touring Europe and touring on the albums that were being released over there. Now, that's not a negative thing. I love Europe, and I feel very blessed. There's a lot of American artists and Canadian artists that have no career outside of North America.
Absolutely.
So I feel in a weird way like I love that happened to me. Another weird thing is most of my best friends throughout my life have been European. Oh. I have 2 really close girlfriends right now. One is from the UK, one is Slovenian. Like, I don't know, Europeans like me. I just get along with them. So I don't know. So I invested time to tour there and make a career over there for myself. And I had releases over there. So that's, I guess, part of my explanation. And, I always felt, even in the 80s when there was, let's be honest, the 80s hard rock was so sexist. It's funny. My husband and I were watching this thing on Chris Holmes, the guitar player from Wasp, and
Wasp, yes.
His time in Wasp. And it's like, oh my God, like I forgot, like these guys had a naked woman tied up on stage with a bag over her head. And it's like, like it's so unacceptable, really, when you think about it now. Like, and I mean, but I always felt that the real emphasis in North America was that I had to be this pretty face that sang songs. Whereas in Europe, they're like, oh, Lee, you write your own songs and you're involved in the production of your records. And I felt really much more treated like an artist when I came to Europe. And that was a reason to keep coming back.
Absolutely. And we love you also. So we hope that you will come in France very soon, and in Europe, of course. Thank you very much, Lee, for all these informations about the new album. It's a really, really great album. Thank you very much for this music. We love a lot of Radio On. We hope you the best, of course, for this new album. And of course, we hope you to see you very soon here in France for a show.
I hope so. I'm hoping this festival happens in October. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Lee. See you soon. Bye.
Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.